Welcome to the Sonoma County Library's Book Repair video series. In today's video, we'll be discussing and demonstrating how to repair hinges with hinge tapes. Okay, so as you may or may not know, primarily we use hinge tapes on the juvenile books. The e-books, the big J books, because these books are bound. They are sewn. And unless you have a staff member or unless you know how to repair sewn books, it's an art form unto itself, and we do repair some sewn books, but it's far and few between. So what we do instead with the books that are bound, the children's books primarily, is we use hinging tape to fix that. We have two types of hinging tape that we use consistently. They are both a product of Demco, and one is called Capco, and what it is I'm going to show it to you. It is has a liner in the middle, so when you're ready to use it, you just peel the liner. And we have two kinds. So one is clear, as clear as one could get. I wouldn't say it's transparent. The other one is Tyvek. And as you know, Tyvek is a material that was made for astronauts. Their suits, because you cannot. The only way you can work with Tyvek is if you have a pair of very sharp scissors, and it works great. It is hinge worthy. It will keep a book together forever. Okay, and so we're going to show you when you want to use the Tyvek and when you want to use the clear tape. Okay, let's get started. So the first book that we're going to do is one that just needs clear hinge tape. And so see, this book was sent here. See how it's falling apart here? And it's falling apart also in the back. It's starting to separate. On this, we're not gonna want to glue it, other than we're just gonna stick gutter glue it by sticking a needle down first. So we're gonna just do that. But we want to put hinge tape along here and along here to reinforce it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you by putting the hinge tape down first instead of gluing it, and then we'll glue it later. So what I do is I take my hinge tape and I measure across. So you can see that the pages are right here, but the book extends. I don't know if you can see that. The book extends a little farther. So first I'm going to cut a straight line on my hinge tape. Get a nice straight edge. Okay, so I'm just going to measure it like this here. Cut it right here. Again, I'm not a perfectionist, but I would probably measure it. Okay, so just double check that this is gonna fit across, and I could trim off just a little bit on this edge. Okay, now I'm gonna try to get this so you can see the technique that you need to use to be able to use this. So let's get this really good in the frame. So right here is where you want to look. So the first thing I do is I peel off my liner strip, and I make sure I seal it. I usually just use my thumbnail, making sure that I got it good and halfway. It's very, very sticky. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get your edge right in the middle, and you can't. Let me finish that sentence. You really can't, because once it's down, it's down. So you want to make sure you're placing it in the right spot. So I get it in there, I get my bone folder, I make sure it's tight down, and now here is the technique. And again, always working from the middle. I push it towards, and I pull it down in the middle, and I roll it, starting from the middle, and I roll it away out to the edges. Okay, then I take my bone folder. I want to make sure I seal it down really good. Make sure I get all the air bubbles out. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to roll it up, and then I'm going to roll it down, starting from the middle. Once I get it going, I'm going to roll it and then move out to the sides. Get it nice and straight on there. And again, I'm going to smooth it out. And as you can see, I did a horrible job of getting it right to the edge, so I just need to trim that little bit off. So I just take my scissors and I snip it off. Okay, so that's one side. Then you would do the same thing on the other side. Once those are in place, then I would go ahead and put my glue and my very thin knitting needle, and I would get down in there with some glue, then make sure it's nice and tight, put a brick on it, it's good to go. So that is how you would work with the clear Capco tape, hinging tape. Now we're going to show you another technique, because sometimes not only do you have to use hinge tape, but you also have to do a little bit of gluing. Otherwise, if you don't glue it together first, your hinge tape is not going to work. So as you can see on the kids' books, it's that same simple separation. But unfortunately, there's really difficult to make a good seal because the book is so thin. So we would do that, but we would also want to put a hinge tape on this. So that's the other thing. So you're going to get in there, you're going to use your brush, and you're going to get some glue all along that edge. And for this, because you're going to be hinge taping it, you don't need a whole lot. But you want to just get that so it does seal. I'm going to tuck it in. I'm going to use clips to hold it, and then once it's dry, then we will put hinge tape on this one. Now, the other kind of hinge tape that we use is the Tyvek. And as you can see on this, it's not very attractive. So we're going to want to use the Tyvek on this. Same thing, we would use a little bit of glue to solidify that there. So a little bit of glue here, And then we're going to cut our hinge tape. And again, I'm just going to show you one more time. And I measure it from where the text block is to the text block. This time I got a much better measurement. I'm going to confirm. A little too long. Okay, so we would glue this, let it dry. I would just leave it open just to give it a chance. And then I'm going to just show you on the back here with the hinge tape. So again, this is the Tyvek. As you can see, I pulled off the liner and it's white. I'm going to fold it back. I'm going to make sure I try not to touch too much of the adhesive, but I'm going to get it so I've got a nice edge. I'm going to get my edge in here, and as you can see, it's very sticky, so it's kind of like a one-time deal. If you don't get it in the right spot and you need to take it up. So I make sure my edge is good inside there. I take and I, working from the middle, I roll it forward, grasping it, and then letting it come down along the sides. And with this, same thing, you're going to want to, it's very difficult. It looks really simple. I will tell you that right now. It is not as easy as it looks to do. Okay, same here. I'm going to roll it out. Move forward a bit to get it started. Okay, got it started. Rolling it from the middle. Okay, so that is when you want to hinge something that does not look good and give it a little bit more life. Okay, so that is hinging. Now we would go back to our other book that we had glued, and it's hanging in there. And this is where, on this one as well, because it's a kid's book and it's bound, we would want to do the thin strip of the clear. Okay, so that is basically how you use hinge tape to hinge a book.